I realize that we are creatures of convenience. It's how we've been trained these days. Granted, we should simplify things. It's how reality works. Reality is a Rube Goldberg machine, crudely speaking. It's performing a very simple process in a very complex way, and usually I think of the game of Mousetrap as an example. The reason I said we're creatures of convenience, the analogy I usually use is how many people are in a situation that isn't a life and death situation. They go to a grocery store or any old store, and pardon me, I'm eating apples, and they ask the attendant or the clerk where they can find something instead of just looking for the fucking thing, using their brain, putting in the time and energy. I mean, it's nice to simplify things, but in some situations, you don't need to pull somebody away from what they're doing. Or if they're engaged in conversation that's work related, you don't need to pull them away from that. You could go find the fucking thing, but people don't do that. So all of this is based on me rediscovering something today and thinking back to the past and how my numerous interactions I've had with people online that haven't gone well for the most part. So I've asked people to answer some test questions. And on that note, I should probably do this. So I plan to return to the test question jazz that I was just talking about. Just jumped on TikTok, and the first thing I see at the top is whatever the fuck this person typed out with a little social engineering sticker over their face. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That post has to do with black goo. Just so you know. And it's pretty fucking funny. I said ferrofluid is a man-made substance that's been created, but the narrative in that video is an adult fairy tale. It's propaganda. And people haven't figured that out. So I say test question online, and most people say, where is it? Instead of trying to fucking find it. It is in here in one of the posts. You could also click on the YouTube thing. And I shouldn't spell stuff like out. I shouldn't have to spell stuff like this out for people. Once again, my brain is working faster than my mouth. I've removed all the videos on here. They're all private, except for the test question, and nobody new has even popped in here to look at it. It's very telling. So the reason I rattled all that shit off, and this blows me away, and I should also jump into another folder and show you another account online that talks about 9. Because today, and I didn't think this was necessarily possible, rather, I didn't think I would figure this out in my lifetime. I have mapped what 9 is, how it functions, and I can show you it. These are the deepest roots I've ever come by having to do with 9. You could think of an image. You could think of a bunch of pixels. You could think of a sigil, a symbol, an icon, iconography. And today I found it. And again, I didn't think I would do this in my lifetime. I wasn't sure how to do it, but I reasoned it out. The reason I'm mentioning this is you got a lot of people who talk about 9, the Nyan sequence. Keep in mind there's lightning and thunder on either side of the English word I in the Nyan sequence, and it doesn't come up, typically speaking, because people don't understand what has been ceded to the public sphere. There's also a deeper root having to do with the Nyan sequence that no one talks about because people aren't thinking for themselves. So you got a lot of people who babble about 3, 6, and 9 having to do with Tesla. None of these kids have the faintest fucking clue. They're repeating a narrative, and they're jerking each other off, and they're all showing each other the same fucking shit that's being recirculated. I have said this online, so I'll say it again. 9 binds, intertwines, and defines reality, but it is not physically present in our system. So when I talk about me defining it or outlining it, creating a sigil or a pixelated map of it, this is a bigger deal than most probably could fathom, to say the very least. This describes something people don't understand. And I realize I'm being very vague, as usual, because I'm looking for people who can think for themselves. If somebody could answer a fucking test question and or wow me in another way, I would teach you other things. I definitely wouldn't spoon feed this to you on day 1. I mean, this is so far down the pike, this took me 10 years to figure this out. But what I have left online over the last 10 years it's eye-opening to say the very least. It's information that you're not supposed to know. It's things you don't come by naturally. You're not going to find it in a book. People don't know it. It's not something you can just look up. I'm sitting on 10 seminars worth of information like this that reflect reality. I'm talking thousands of pages. And you don't find this information because you were not supposed to know it. And people aren't taking the time to reason it out. They're not thinking for themselves, as I often echo. I echo this because it's fucking important to think in terms of that, to think in general, and to realize that most people, and chances are if you're listening to this, you probably aren't thinking for yourself in a number of ways. Because you and I were both indoctrinated into the same system that we call society. And we've been led astray. We're being manipulated daily in numerous fucking ways. If you use the internet in any form or way, you are being pulled in so many fucking directions and told how to conduct yourself. And most people aren't batting a lash at any of that. They're falling in the line and they're acting just like the other assholes out there. So I say, pull your head out of your ass. You're not thinking for yourself. People are below average. Oh man, I had somebody bark at me today and I'm trying to remember how they put it. It's semantics, but there's another way people usually will word people being below average. Not well below. What is it? Well below? No, there's another version of it. And I don't use that. And they barked at me and tried to make it sound like I didn't live up to their standards, their internet etiquette, and all that other shit again. Either way, it cracked me up. And I don't really give a fuck, but just the same, it did crack me up. All right, I'll jump in and I'll do another little screen recording and show you the account that I'm talking about having to do with this chick that talks about Nine. She's got thousands of people following her because she's lying to people, whether she realizes it or not. She's shopping around adult fairy tales in place to fuck you up. And she promotes Terrence Howard, whose movie career didn't go so well, so now he works as a controlled opposition asset, and people haven't figured this out. He's shopping around propaganda today that's also already seeded to the alphabet community. So these two unrelated groups of people magically are both trying to convince you that 1 times 1 doesn't equal 1. And this chick who wrote a book about 9 and talks about 9 every now and again in a superficial way, she's promoting that. And she's absolutely wrong. It doesn't reflect reality. It's propaganda. It's an adult fairy tale. And anybody with a brain in their head who is thinking for themselves would never fucking do that. Especially if they had 2 people following them. 1 person following them. Because it's a disservice. It's irresponsible. It's fucking stupid is what it is. But yeah, what the fuck do I know? Here we go, out of my catalog of fucking folders. Keep in mind, our masters scrub things from the internet. This is also why I stress a physical book is important, so long as the book actually contains information. Most books don't these days. So this gal, I was kind of hoping it would just show me, but I didn't do it. Give me another second, and it should hopefully say her little TikTok handle, so you know what I'm talking about. So that chick. Hold on. You can look this up. And a lot of you probably say, oh my god, what she is saying is so fucking amazing. 10 to 1. You're probably going to be easily taken in by this shit if you watch it. That's how the sensational propaganda mill works. But one last time, as always, what the fuck do I know? And this is why most people will run to this instead of just considering what I left online today. So I want you to think about 3, 6, and 9, and I want you to think about this apple, and I want you to think about the seeds in this apple. I also want you to think about why our masters have told you that it's a heliocentric fucking fill in the blank. There's a good reason, but it's not addressed in the flat earth, and it's not addressed in the heliocentric shit. People don't understand it. You will hear duds talk about you'll hear them talk about the same outline. You'll hear them talk about Nibiru, and you'll hear them talk about the black sun. Same outline. People don't understand this because people don't understand a fucking thing. Well, there goes the apple. Just the same. This is a big fucking deal. And what I wanted you to think about are the seeds that are on the other side, most likely. I don't know where it went. We'll have to find it. Either way, they have a little bit of what's that fucking thing called? There's poison in there, but I can't. Arsenic? Is it arsenic? Either way, there's poison at the center of the apple, but you'd have to eat numerous cores to fucking actually poison yourself, is the point. So I want you to think about the system you and I inhabit. This is also where Buddha is. This is also where Jesus is. This is where the devil, Anubis, Bacchus, Baphomet, Hermes, Mercury, all that shit. It's gnawing on the roots of the tree. But we praise it because it's also benefiting the system by and large. And you can think of an apple. You can think of you and I. It's how a toroidal field works. It's a big fucking deal. It's part of how all this works. 3, 6, and 9 is another part of it. They sing to each other, and people don't understand this. But as always, what the fuck do I know? Fuck yeah.